What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. And guys and girls, today is episode 12 of the show. Really excited about it, guys. We have a lot of stuff to cover here in today's episode, that including the whereabouts of Starnet Eclipse, a game that was in development for a long time, and kind of talking about what exactly happened to the IP. And then we're also going to be talking about No Man's Sky, along with some Starcraft III and Dead Space 4 talk. And then, of course, guys, to wrap up the show, we're going to be talking about the Call of Duty League as well as Gears 5. So we got a loaded show here today. Really excited about it. Can't wait to get started. Let's get into it. So guys, what happened to Starnet Eclipse, a game in which a lot of people were extremely excited about and ended up getting canceled or basically put on a permanent hiatus? We're going to talk about what exactly happened to Starnet Eclipse, and maybe we can try to figure out exactly what's going on and is this game ever going to be released? So let's talk about it. So in an article that was written, guys, a long time ago, so this was back in 2016, esports team caught in controversy over undelivered game. This is a news article coming from Kotaku. And celebrity esports team FaZe Clan is taking heat for co-producing a video game that over a year after its targeted launch date remains unreleased. Backers donated nearly $20,000 to first-person shooter Starnet Eclipse, which critics are now calling a scam, an allegation FaZe Clan denies. In January of 2015, FaZe Clan announced they were co-producing Starnet Eclipse with iCasual Entertainment, a new development studio. Headed by a 19-year-old CEO, UK-based iCasual Entertainment says they employ 70 people. The futuristic FPS was allegedly being built for Xbox One PC, PS4, and Mac. To fund Starnet Eclipse, FaZe Clan solicited donations from their million-strong subscriber base in a YouTube video titled "We Are Making a Video Game." They added that backers would receive perks for donating. So all in all, guys, I remember this when Starnet Eclipse was announced. It was going to be this game in which you were going to be able to, obviously a first-person shooter, but it was going to be mainly kind of based or targeted to snipers and trick shotters in the Call of Duty community, because I remember all of us being really excited about that. Those of us in the community that were trick shotters and snipers, we got really excited about this because it was like a game in which we wanted, trick shotting and sniping, but it was basically made by trick shotters and snipers. So it was one of those games that felt like it was being made by fans for the fans of trick shotting and sniping. And so for me personally, I was excited about this, but I was really sketched out by just kind of the way in which they were, kind of promoting it, just because it did kind of feel like a scam, like this was something that wasn't necessarily, being created as of yet, or it had been in development for years, but they were obviously having some funding trouble, and so they needed help, and that's where FaZe Clan came in. And FaZe, I don't want to put all this on FaZe like it was their fault or something, that they were basically fueling the fire of this scam that was Starnet Eclipse. Because at this very point, guys, Starnet Eclipse could actually still be being under development right now, but at the same time, it's very unlikely because of how long it's taken. And I just think that these kids over at iCasual Entertainment, or these guys who were, 19 years old, really didn't know what they were getting into. And so that probably is part of this. They were kind of taking on a little more than they could chew. That being said, accompanying FaZe Clan's announcement was a minute-long teaser trailer, which they explained came out of 4 years of previous development, which obviously this video is now down. Anything you want in Call of Duty, you can get in this game, FaZe Temper said in the announcement. The game would feature FaZe Clan members as characters, and then excitement ensued. On May 20th, 2015, iCasual released an alpha trailer. It was a basic template-style FPS made with Unreal Engine. iCasual promised June 5th as an alpha release date for backers and June 27th as the finished game's launch. Confusingly, on Twitter last January, Starnet Eclipse said their full release would be closer to late 2015. A limited time offer advertised it for $18. On Starnet Eclipse website, the alpha, beta, and full copy for PC Mac still goes for $30. Fans could buy different packs for the game, however, including a $300 major pack, offering game access, a gold gilded model, and a number of other apparel items. The highest pack cost is the $25,000 Enfield pack, entailing Dinner with FaZe Clan and iCasual. A pre-alpha was released to backers in June 2015. The beta, they then said, would come in the summer of 2015. The full game would now be scheduled for early 2016. And then, of course, the alpha, that video was also deleted. So, guys, let's talk about this. First of all, this is almost like very deceptive microtransactions before they really came out, right? So microtransactions have been in gaming for a long time, but that being said, nothing quite like this. And then, you know, a $25,000 Enfield pack right there is very alarming. You're going to pay $25 grand to have Dinner with FaZe Clan and iCasual. Yeah, that's very sketchy to me. Obviously, and you know, for a lot of people in the community, these prices for some of these things for a game that wasn't even released yet, very high. $300 major pack, you know, so there was red flags that were going up all around this game, and now we're starting to see, you know, I mean, this just reminds me of games that have come out now more recently that have had incredibly you know, deceptive microtransactions where you're spending so much money and really not getting as much value as they're trying to tell you you're getting. So really, this was kind of like the first game I ever saw prices like this. I could not believe what I was seeing out of the Starnet Eclipse. You know, these weren't even microtransactions. These were just being advertised as limited time offers. Absolutely unreal to me. By the time early 2016 rolled around, backers began asking more questions. On Twitter, Starnet Eclipse started telling fans that there were no dates set for beta. Then they told fans there was no release date. In mid-April, Starnet Eclipse said that there will be at least one version of the game released this year, still volleying questions about whether the game was still being developed at all. Today, the status of Starnet Eclipse is unclear to the public. Between May 25th and September 5th, the game's Twitter account stopped updating, although they continued to address backer questions. As of September 2016, iCasual still hasn't announced a final release date for their game. Starnet Eclipse drew wide attention this week when the YouTuber Honor the Call posted a video on Monday about the game's delays. Honor the Call has been following the FaZe Clan for a while. In the past, he's made videos about FaZe Clan members' connections to CSGO gambling. In Monday's video, he described Starnet Eclipse as shady, pointing out discrepancies between the game's promises and realities. The missed deadlines combined with the high price of alpha, he said, point to it being a scam. It's safe to say that FaZe Clan should return all the money back to their fan base, Honor the Call said in the video. Which, once again, this video was deleted. Now, one thing I'm going to defend FaZe on this is where he says it's safe to say that FaZe Clan should return all the money back to their fan base. Now, I'm not sure if FaZe was getting a cut of everyone's donations or not. I think that there was a report that came out that stated that FaZe was getting portions of the donations that were coming in, or they were getting a percentage of that. I do not know if they were actually receiving that or not. If they did, however, and this turned out to be a scam, I would like to this point, I do feel like they should return the money. But that being said, I also think, though, that they very well may not have known. I don't think that FaZe would have got involved in this, even though they were younger, maybe a little more immature as well. Didn't really see between the dotted line, so to speak, of what this game really was going to be, which was a big scam, essentially. Or just, even if it wasn't a scam, it was undelivered. It's an undelivered game. So it's like, yeah, where did that money go? Obviously, it went somewhere. iCasual Entertainment obviously got that money. And if FaZe got a portion of that, that's pretty, it is sketchy and it's shady, malpractices on everybody's end. But I will say this: I think FaZe definitely had good intentions. I do not think that they purposely were trying to take people's money, because they were already making so much off of YouTube videos. Why would they need to do that? They were selling so much in merch, and then of course they just got bigger and bigger. I think this was just a setback for FaZe. They got caught in like just a bad situation, which has happened over time, and it happens to everybody at some point or another in your career, and especially a team as big as FaZe. I mean, these things are going to happen from time to time. Obviously, if it happened again, then I would be really upset, and I would, really be calling FaZe out on it. I just don't think that they knew that it was going to turn out like this. Like, Starnet Eclipse was just going to be a game that just never got delivered, and that iCasual Entertainment would either bail or just, didn't do what they were supposed to do. So, FaZe Clan's Norden, or FaZe Rain, posted a video shortly afterwards titled "We Didn't Scam Anyone," in which he attempts to defend himself. $20,000, he says, isn't enough to make a game. He stressed that games take a long time to make, but does not address that the game was allegedly in development for years. FaZe Rain added that he didn't fully remember the full situation. When it came to backer rewards, he also notes that he's known iCasual CEO since he was 15. Neither FaZe Clan nor Starnet Eclipse's developer iCasual returned requests for comment. So first of all, FaZe Rain should have said nothing. And I'm going to say this. FaZe Rain has gotten himself in trouble for making videos, kind of trying to defend himself or FaZe, which it's a very valiant effort to basically say, hey, we didn't scam anybody, or whatever the case might be throughout his professional career. But Rain is guy, he kind of gets between things, and I think that he gets a lot of backlash for it. And I think that part of, it's just, you shouldn't even need to be necessarily defending yourself about it. I think it is important, but sometimes you just gotta, just kind of shut out the noise. I mean, honestly, if you want to post something on Twitter, just, stating, look, like, this isn't a scam. I don't know what's taken, so long. Even though they should be in direct contact with iCasual, he's right when he says $20,000 isn't enough to make a game. But at the same time, it just doesn't look good. Okay, yeah, $20,000 isn't enough to make a game. So where are these guys getting the money? Do you have backers? Do they have investors that are helping with the game? There's other questions that come up when you say things of that nature, like $20,000 isn't enough to make a game, which I don't believe that was all that they collected. I believe $20,000. I would have to admit, I would probably think that there's a lot more money that was actually donated than $20,000. That's just my opinion, though. But I don't think FaZe Rain should have even said anything. If he would have said something, maybe just say something on Twitter. Look, we're looking into the situation. We'll let you guys know what happens from there. But, making a video, we didn't scam anyone, I don't know if that really helped with the situation. Starnet Eclipse's development team said yesterday they are issuing refunds. Basically, they stated that they were going to issue refunds. There are people, though, I was looking on Twitter that stated that they still had never gotten refunds from the game. So that there is that as well. $20,000 in backing money had been wasted. A Google Doc explains that iCasual Entertainment has been upgrading their office and creating new development teams. Unreal Engine is by no means easy to master, they added, citing bugs. Soon, they said, Starnet Eclipse will be launching another crowdfunding campaign. So once again, when you start hearing that they're going to be launching more crowdfunding campaigns, it's throwing up so many red flags. In the midst of the controversy, it is easy to forget that many involved parties, including iCasual CEO, are still teenagers. Starnet Eclipse's website is the textual equivalent of trying on your dad's business suit and awkwardly swimming in it. We firmly believe that success belongs to those who see beyond the obvious. It is such people who make an impact on the society and become part of the league of extraordinary achievers, trendsetters, and path breakers, it reads. Developers, they say they will announce a schedule for Starnet Eclipse on October 29th. In early 2017, they say they will start shipping t-shirts to backers. And we all know that that is not true. Obviously, guys, this was done in 2016, 2017, nothing ever happened. And you want to know something? It's kind of weird. Ever since after this article, I really did not see many other articles that were written about this situation after 2016 or after, the Kotaku article. And that's why I wanted to kind of bring this whole thing back to light, because it's kind of strange that no one's even picking it up again. The website's still up there as far as the Starnet Eclipse is concerned. And you can still donate money. But yeah, I don't think it's really going to anything except for maybe casual entertainment, and it's just kind of filling their pocket. So I would definitely not recommend doing that, guys. But the CEO of iCasual, Jefferson Prince, responded to requests for comment, and this was in 2016. Firstly, I would like to state that the game has been in the works for around 4 years, inclusive of the time it took us to do the R&D on how to build a game. The actual development has only taken place for 2 years. But even during this time, we were working with a very small team in the beginning and then later grew to 70 before FaZe Clan was even brought into the picture. The pre-alpha versions we have released in the past are old and have never been put through post-production. Due to the time it took our developers to get a hold of Unreal Engine at its very early state, which was personally buggy for our project, we were unable to meet our deadline. But now we're progressing with it smoothly. Both iCasual and FaZe have never had any shady intentions to pursue with this project. Okay, I'm going to give Jefferson Prince the benefit of the doubt and say that, yeah, sure, maybe no shady intentions were, intended, but there is certainly, look, people donated money expecting to get something out of it, and they never got anything, nothing at all. We got a couple of gameplay demos that looked absolutely horrendous. In my opinion, I just thought they looked terrible, especially the AI looked complete trash. Looked like, guys, buggy as hell. Let's be real about it. So, honestly, guys, I would have to say that Starnet Eclipse, what really happened here was a company, as in iCasual Entertainment, went way over their heads, trying to never made a game before, obviously, and they're, all trying to kind of scrounge around money and things of that nature to make this game happen, and got way over their heads with it. And there you go. This kind of reminds me of the Fire Festival that happened. Just, guys and people having great visions and great ideas, but getting way over their heads with things, and then things just explode in their face because they can't meet deadlines. They, can't support the backers or the investors, whatever it might be. This is a perfect example of, game developers that, sure, if it's your first time making a game, there's always that first game that you should make. But when it comes to actually taking people's money, you have to deliver at least something, even if it's something that is extremely buggy, like is in the very early stages. Allowing players to play it, or like making it available, even if it's not even that great of a game or even a fully finished game, at least having people do that, because it's not even like something that people can actually even play at this point, at least as far as I'm aware. So, guys, I'm not going to say that it was a scam, but it was very shady, and I'm just certainly not going to, say that Jefferson Prince and FaZe, had no fault in this. But I do think that it was just, honestly, they were just in over their heads at this point in time. And I'll keep you guys updated as time goes, as far as this is concerned. Hopefully, we get some responses from some of the guys over at Starnet Eclipse, or at least over at iCasual Entertainment. Kind of try to get an update on what's going on with this IP. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What did you guys think about the entire situation with Starnet Eclipse? Would you guys like to see a finished product? Let me know what you guys think. So, No Man's Sky, guys, a game in which had significant peaks and valleys, more valleys, and then more recently than not, you have the peaks. So, very interesting things have happened with No Man's Sky, and, I wanted to make a video on this because I've had a lot of friends and even some family members that have gotten into No Man's Sky, and I've given it a try, and I really enjoy the game. I played it before all of the patches or the big patches that ended up happening, and it was extremely buggy on my Xbox. Then I went ahead, came back to it, months later, and started playing it again, and man, it's like almost two different games. So I wanted to make a video on No Man's Sky, guys, because I'm so impressed with it. But it's also begs to my question to all of you, and we're going to read an article here that I thought was really good. But is No Man's Sky the greatest comeback in gaming history? Because I think, guys, that this is a game that really could be one of the greatest comebacks. And I'll tell you why here. Number one is because of the scale of this game. It's such a huge game. You could explore for years upon years all the different planets. I mean, they've just put so much into this. Hello Games put it, just obviously it looks like just absolutely a lifetime worth of work has been put into this game, it feels like. And from where it was, which was extremely buggy and just had a lot of problems, to now is, guys, I can't even think of a better comeback story than this one when it comes to gaming. Let's talk about it. No Man's Sky may be the comeback story of the generation. I'm saying the comeback story all time, but hey, we'll talk about comeback story of the generation. More developers should follow Hello Games' perseverance. No Man's Sky was reviled when it launched 3 years ago. For all the hype that the once PlayStation console exclusive garnered, it made waves by being featured on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. It spectacularly failed to meet expectations at a level that's nearly unheard of. It was review bombed, became the source of endless ridicule, and was a cautionary tale of how player expectations and broken promises can crater a game's reputation. It was so bad that the UK's Advertising Standards Authority investigated claims of misleading ads and false advertising, though it found no wrongdoing on Hello Games' part. And yet, after 3 years, I can't go online without hearing praise or good things said about No Man's Sky in 2019. So what happened? Developer Hello Games didn't give up. I can't begin to imagine how difficult a decision it would have been to cut its losses and move on to the next project after a year or so. But other developers do just that frequently. It's part of the industry. Hello Games persevered when arguably you couldn't blame them for wanting to move past it. No Man's Sky today is almost unrecognizable from what it once was, thanks to a few major updates that drastically improved and overhauled the experience. Steam user reviews when No Man's Sky released were largely negative, though there's still some negativity today because it's the internet and we can't have nice things. Reviews skew towards positive. It's come a long way during its time on the market. Hello Games founder Sean Murray is reticent to discuss in exact detail the type of harassment the team received shortly after launch, but in an interview with The Guardian, he said it was as bad as things can get, basically. There's a smorgasbord of things that the angry mob can do. It is a crowdsourced thing of how bad you can make someone's life. I remember getting a death threat about the fact that there were butterflies in our original trailer, and you could see them as you walked past them, but there weren't any butterflies in the launch game. I remember thinking to myself, maybe when you're sending a death threat about butterflies in a game, you might be the bad guy. The last thing you'd think is that the community would turn around and crowdfund a billboard thanking Hello Games for its efforts, but that's exactly what it did. Granted, the people funding the billboard likely weren't the ones sending death threats in the first place, but it's good to see the positivity outweigh the toxicity in any community. So, look, Hello Games has done something unheard of, but I think it's something that needs to be addressed here, guys. I mean, honestly, No Man's Sky was a game that was just so buggy and there were just all kinds of problems, right? And instead of moving on, like so many other developers just move on from the IP, they really worked hard to perfect the game, and just they kind of listened to community feedback and this kind of made the game what people wanted. And that is something, guys, that I think more and more developers really need to do, simply because, I mean, why not? Honestly, lots of games out there have mad amounts of potential, but the developers give up on them and kind of move to other IPs or do other things that those things don't even see the light of day or don't even get a chance to be something great. I'll give you an example. Evolve. A game in which I was super excited about, start playing it. It had a lot of problems at launch, lots of different problems, right? And that was I think it was one of the first games on the Xbox One that kind of launched with the Xbox One. Anyway, it had so much potential, but there was a lack of, support from the developers, and it ended up just, they ended up like stopping work on it, right? Like they just stopped, supporting it. The same thing with the game Lawbreakers, I believe it was called, which was, I know Cliff Bleszinski was the game developer or the studio head over there. And Lawbreakers, which I think is what it was called, another really cool concept, but they gave up on it because it didn't do really good at launch. I think part of it was that it was only sold on, it wasn't sold on like consoles and stuff. It was like sold just on PC. I think there was like other things that went wrong with that, but at the same time, it just, so many different companies just give up on their product when you actually have something really cool. And so I'm really glad that Hello Games is trying to kind of change that at this point with No Man's Sky. This all comes after two major updates. No Man's Sky Next, which saw the game come to Xbox One, and No Man's Sky Beyond, which added enhanced multiplayer functionality and VR support. The patch notes for each update are almost comically long, but for good reason. They brought so much to the table in terms of content, features, and quality of life changes. Hello Games' tenacity and commitment to making a better game won players' trust back. Murray won't reveal just how well No Man's Sky has sold since its rocky launch, but he told Kotaku that last year, 2018, we sold the kind of numbers a AAA game would be happy with at launch. At GDC 2019, he even said that No Man's Sky is now one of the biggest selling new IPs of all time. I'm incredibly happy for No Man's Sky and Hello Games. That type of dedication deserves to be rewarded, and it has been. My fellow Android Central writer James Bricknell even calls No Man's Sky the new best reason to own a PlayStation VR. So, as this picture says, thank you, Hello Games. I'm going to say thank you, Hello Games, but I'm also going to say a hell of a good job by Hello Games. Unbelievable. I mean, if this is anything, for really anybody out there, any, game developer, that you have a game that you feel has a lot of potential to it, and it launches and it's kind of shaky at first, just keep on, really doing the things that the community wants. Because if you do those things, a lot of times, you could earn your players' trust back. And look at what No Man's Sky is doing now. I mean, incredible numbers. It's one of the, biggest IPs, new IPs right now. I mean, just, it's unbelievable, right? And now we're kind of wondering what's the future hold for No Man's Sky. Are they going to keep updating it? Are they going to make a second one? I mean, what's going to happen with this IP? I think now they could really do so many different things with this game. Just because of they had faith that they had something special, but they just took the community's feedback and they kind of implemented those things and brought out two huge patches, and there you go. No Man's Sky is the greatest comeback in gaming, in my personal opinion. What do you guys think? In the comment section below, let me know, guys. So now I want to talk about Starcraft III, and guys, we've been talking a lot about Starcraft III, and I've made videos talking about how the Starcraft III movement, our movement is growing, and I think now, slowly but surely, hopefully pretty soon, we will, kind of reach Blizzard, right? We'll kind of get the word out to them that, hey, we want a Starcraft III, and so what I want to do in this video, or what I want to talk about here, I guess, in this segment of the show, is I want to talk about how StarCraft III could revitalize the franchise or rejuvenate the franchise, however you want to kind of look at it. And, how could that happen? Well, look, I think the way that when we talk about revitalizing a franchise or kind of rejuvenating it, giving it like new life, I think what we need to talk about is the past. And, I've talked about this in the past, but there's a number of things that have happened with StarCraft II that, I think really puts a sour taste in different people's mouths in the community. And a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but I'm one of those guys, and you all know this, for those of you who have watched my videos, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about that shaky stuff that no one else wants to talk about in the StarCraft community, that being the match fixing scandal, which, yeah, lots of people don't like to talk about it, but it's something that needs to be talked about. Because in order for us to kind of move forward, we've got to talk about the past, right? So how could StarCraft III revitalize the franchise? Well, number one is the shaky past that StarCraft II has had, with that being the match-fixing scandal, which for those of you who are new to StarCraft and to StarCraft II, the match-fixing scandal was essentially on the esports side of StarCraft II, where players were paid to lose matches in major tournaments. And those there was a number of players, but the big one was Life Guys, who I believe is one of the greatest StarCraft II players of all time. He's definitely on that Mount Rushmore of StarCraft II, but his legacy will forever be tarnished, in my opinion, because of the match-fixing scandal. Because, of course, cheating, guys, that's going to take you out of any type of greatest conversation in my personal book. But that was the biggest thing, guys, that really hurt StarCraft II. You had this scene that was growing and growing, and people loved StarCraft II. It was never quite as big as StarCraft I, or, Brood War and things, but it was still a very strong IP. StarCraft II came out and people were excited about it. It was a great game. It was a lot of fun. It was just the real-time strategy, the greatest real-time strategy game ever made, period, and still is to this day, okay? But things like that really hurt it. The match-fixing scandal especially, because when you're talking the best player in all of StarCraft II was caught in that match-fixing scandal. A lot of advertisers, a lot of esports teams pulled out of StarCraft II and didn't want anything to do with it at that point. That really hurts a scene. And so ever since that point, we have been struggling. StarCraft II has been kind of struggling until more recently than not. Sure, we had, Heart of the Swarm that came out, which, of course, the matchmaking scandal really happened during Heart of the Swarm. I'm sure it was probably happening in Legacy, in Wings of Liberty. But then you had Legacy of the Void. It's like, okay, things are, starting to kind of quiet down a little bit. But then the big thing that really helped StarCraft II was the free-to-play concept, where now it's free-to-play, which is absolutely incredible, and it's bringing a lot of players into StarCraft. But I think what would help StarCraft at this point to kind of go to that next level, to be one of the biggest IPs again, is giving it a fresh start. And that fresh start being a StarCraft III. And I'm not saying a StarCraft III like first-person shooter game or something of that along those lines. I'm talking a real-time strategy StarCraft game. So a StarCraft III that's continuing the legacy that the first two is kind of leaving for it, but giving it a fresh slate. No match-fixing scandals, nothing like, no scummy malpractices, nothing along those lines, and kind of giving StarCraft a breath of fresh life and really giving us a clean slate moving forward. StarCraft III could also add some new things to it, a new race. It could also add, instead of 1v1s as the primary esports mode, maybe 4v4, 5v5 like League of Legends or some of these other games, making it more of a team game so you get more people involved in watching it and such, because it seems like the team games are really the ones that are watched the most. You could, of course, be the tennis of esports, and there's nothing wrong with that. Which I believe is what StarCraft is at this point. It's the tennis of esports. It's one of the most complex games in all of gaming. I believe it's the most challenging game in all of esports, period, because of what you have to do at such a high level, and you're by yourself. You're playing this by yourself. It's all on you as a person and as a gamer against other people. So StarCraft III could add new ideas. It could add... just think about it, guys. It could add so many new ideas, and it could, really, when you think about it, it truly could change everything about StarCraft. It could add new graphics, or I shouldn't say add new graphics, but, have better graphics that are utilized in StarCraft III, because we saw some of the new graphics that were shown off at BlizzCon 2019, that being in the format of, World of Warcraft Shadowlands and Diablo 4 and even Overwatch 2, seeing those graphics is like, dude, if this was Starcraft 3, man, that would look absolutely incredible. But the other thing is, guys, is that the story, there's still so much to explore in Starcraft. And what really makes me mad about the Starcraft community, at least at this point, is they're so complacent with Starcraft 2. It's almost like people are afraid of the unknown, of what a Starcraft 3 would look like. But people are so complacent with Starcraft 2. Starcraft 2 is amazing, guys, and I would never take anything away from it. But I think that we need to move forward if we want to see the continued growth of the Starcraft scene. A first-person shooter, a mobile game, things like that could also help, but I really think we need another real-time strategy game, especially when we're seeing other real-time strategy games that are coming out. Age of Empires and We Are Billions and all these other games that are starting to come out. It's like, look, Blizzard needs to reclaim or basically prove once again that they are the kings of the real-time strategy genre. Make a StarCraft 3, make a Warcraft 4. I mean, look, these aren't as big of IPs as, say, Call of Duty or, League of Legends or anything like that, but they are still solid IPs with very passionate fan bases and fan bases that put their money where their mouth is. And I think that's the StarCraft community, really wrapped up there into one. And so a StarCraft 3, it could significantly rejuvenate, I think, the excitement of StarCraft and just, would also guarantee pretty much another 10 years of StarCraft. And guess what, guys? You know what the best thing about a StarCraft 3 would be? Is it's taken a chance, right? It's taken a chance like, hey, StarCraft, what if it's not as good? Or, there's a lot of questions that would come up. But the thing about it is why not see what a StarCraft 3 has to offer and what Blizzard can do with that? Because if it's not good and we don't really enjoy it that much, we can always go back to StarCraft 2 and play StarCraft 2 again, another 10 years, right? Because it's already been out for pretty much 10 years, right? So, look, I'm just saying that StarCraft 3, guys, if you want it, we got to voice our opinion. We got to voice what we want to Blizzard and Activision, that we want a StarCraft 3. This is an IP that we want to have around for another 10 years, right? Because there's no guarantee that at some point or another, they just say, we're going to pull the plug on the esports scene as far as within StarCraft 2, like they did with Heroes of the Storm, and we definitely don't want that to happen with StarCraft. So I believe the only way really forward here is to move into a StarCraft 3. Get all the new generational people, the up next gamers, so to speak, to start getting into real-time strategy. But that being said, with StarCraft 3, get them into that one. They'll play the other ones as well, but really continue the legacy, the lore, and there's so much to explore with StarCraft. I mean, this is a game and a franchise, like in a universe that could be as big as any of these other, like Star Trek or Star Wars. It could be as big as those. It's just there's so much more to explore, and I want to explore those things. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys want a StarCraft 3, and do you think that it would revitalize the franchise? Let me know what you guys think about that. So something that you guys should all know about me is that I am a huge horror fan when it comes to gaming and movies especially. I absolutely love horror movies. Guys, I went to school for filmmaking. I went to the New York Film Academy for a short-term program that I went over there for, and I got to make a decent amount of movies, and basically every single movie that I made when I was in school was a horror movie. And so horror movies and horror games are something that are very close to my heart personally, and you guys can probably see that with Gears of War. I mean, Gears of War not necessarily is a horror game, but it is, technically speaking, a third-person shooter, but a horror shooter to say the least, and so something that I really enjoy. Well, one of my favorite horror games of all time, guys, is Dead Space, and I never understood why Dead Space stopped after 3 games. Now, I understand to a degree that it's like, this idea of maybe it's a trilogy, but I felt that there was so much more to explore, especially after the 3rd game. And the 3rd game was kind of just such a letdown for me. I just didn't, it was good, but it wasn't as good as I was, hoping for. It kind of went away from the roots of what made Dead Space so good. And I got that this was a franchise and a game that was kind of behind behind the trends of what was going on in gaming at large, that being multiplayer co-op and things of that nature, which I think really hurt Dead Space. Well, what we're going to talk about is where is Dead Space 4, guys? Because I think there's a number of reasons why we haven't seen Dead Space 4 yet, but this is another game that I would love to see, us as a community try to, get echoed into existence. And that being said, there's an article that was written by the Den of Geek stating Dead Space creator wants to make Dead Space 4. Like many fans of the Dead Space series, Glenn Schofield wants to return to the franchise. This article was written in early 2019. In an interview with Game Informer, Dead Space creator Glenn Schofield revealed that he'd love the chance to make the fourth installment in the series. When asked whether or not that game would be Dead Space 4 or some kind of reboot or altered universe, Schofield elaborated on his wishes. I would probably do something where I didn't have to follow the lore of the other two games, said Schofield. I thought in the end, when they introduced all the aliens and everything, wow, you didn't need to do that. While the idea of getting permission to rewrite the Dead Space canon might be doable, Schofield addresses the bigger elephant in the room, getting EA to sign off on a sequel. So far as that goes, he admits that realistically getting the game approved will require him to make some concessions. If you could come up with a multiplayer that would work, Schofield said. Story modes don't have to be one player. I think that's the key these days. How do we make a story mode for everybody to play? I think Dead Space wouldn't take on a different look, but would take on a slightly different way of playing it. As for what form the game's multiplayer mode would take, Schofield suggests that the obvious answer is some kind of contribution of the co-op mode featured in Dead Space 3. At the same time, he believes a single-player driven game, Dead Space or otherwise, is more viable in the current market than some people may lead you to believe. Everybody seems to be saying that the single-player story mode is dying, but then you have some giant hits that come out, Schofield said. You don't have to put $300 million into some of these games. If you put in $50 million and make $250 million or $300 million, I think that would be enough for many players. With that statement, Schofield joins Uncharted director Amy Hennig and other industry figures who think that the current trajectory of video game budgets isn't sustainable and that something is going to have to change in order to avoid further layoffs. As for the possibility of a Dead Space sequel, we are a little pessimistic about the possibility, even if we and many of those who worked on the game have fond memories of the sci-fi horror classic. So, look, guys, Dead Space is a game that I think it suffered from just being behind the trends a little bit, that being multiplayer and co-op. They didn't introduce co-op until Dead Space 3. I thought the Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 were incredible. Two of the best horror games I've ever played, and very freaky games as well. Dead Space 3, I mean, obviously it was good, but it wasn't as good as the first two. And, I was hoping that it would be, just as good as those, especially when you're talking co-op. But I think that Dead Space really needed to have some form of multiplayer to bring people back. Because sure, when people are stating that that single-player games are dying, that's 100% not true. We look at games like God of War and Spider-Man and other games that are primarily single-player experiences. They're selling a ton of copies. Now, having a full package is what I always look for. I look for a campaign, multiplayer, and like some form of co-op mode or, side mode. Kind of so you're having a full package. You're spending $60 on this product, so you want to have like a full package. You don't just want to play the campaign one time and then that's it, right? You want to be able to kind of go back, play it again, which I have done with the Dead Space games, but at the same time, you want to be able to also play other modes. You want to be able to, play with your friends and also just play multiplayer if that is an option. Dead Space I always felt would be a great game, kind of like Gears of War, where you have like a horde mode or something where you play with your friends and you're just going up against waves and waves of different, creatures and such. I think that would be really cool. But Dead Space 4, guys, I would love to see this game made. I think that, EA needs to give Dead Space another chance, but this time, obviously making it a full package, I think is really something that is important. Having a campaign that's, strong but goes back to the roots of Dead Space. And then, of course, having a multiplayer and even some co-op modes would be really helpful as well. But what do you guys think? Would you guys want to see another Dead Space game made? I certainly would. I'm all in on a Dead Space 4. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. So guys, the Call of Duty League is something that I am extremely excited about. This is a league that I think could really take the entire landscape of the esports realm by storm, and something that could really set the bar for other esports that are looking to maybe get into franchising. And I think that the Call of Duty League, we're talking Call of Duty is the biggest game in the world, right? It is such a juggernaut of a game, sells the best every single year. Sure, it doesn't get the numbers as far as viewership is concerned, like on Twitch and stuff, or even during their tournaments. I think that may very well change with the Call of Duty League. At least that's definitely my hope. But one thing that I think what Activision's doing right with the Call of Duty League is they are starting to really listen to the owners of the teams that are, of course, a part of this league, and they're definitely making moves, right? They're making some big moves and they're listening to their owners. Well, an article that came out by them, the Call of Duty League adds pro tournaments for 2020 season. So a lot of people thought that they were going to have, obviously the structure of the Call of Duty League is you have your amateur league, the pro league level, and then, they have, challenger, they have different challenger events and such. And, so people really didn't know what the structure was necessarily going to look like. And we thought that the pro tournaments weren't going to be happening, or at least tournaments weren't going to really happen with the Call of Duty League, because it was going to be more of like home and away format. Well, that being said, we at the Call of Duty League are incredibly excited to announce the addition of tournament-based play as part of the inaugural 2020 season. Beginning week 2 in London, teams will compete in a format that is both familiar to the legacy of Call of Duty esports and fresh amidst the backdrop of our city-based franchise structure. This format, coupled with a brand new point system that goes into effect on launch weekend, will deliver a competitive experience where every match of the season matters. The result, fans will get to see more matches, more drama, and more teams competing each home series weekend. We love listening to our community and finding unique ways to deliver on our vision of igniting a shift in sports entertainment. Our competitive format is one of the many highlights we are thrilled to introduce in 2020, including improved watchability, pop culture infusions, and fan-first experiences at the pro and amateur levels. Here's to launching something special together, starting in Minneapolis on January 24th, 2020. So extremely exciting stuff, guys. The Call of Duty League is really starting to kind of win me over quite a bit. My hope is that the Call of Duty League, now that they are kind of like, they rebranded this thing, it's no longer, the World League. Now that it's just the Call of Duty League, you've got like franchises and teams that you can like cheer for that are city-based. This could really change everything when it comes to esports. And I'll tell you why. Obviously, this is really exciting, having the pro tournaments and such. I think that's really exciting. But having city-based teams, I just think that, sure, that might be going in a direction of traditional sports, but there's nothing wrong with that. This is just being added to the other traditional sports, essentially. Like, you can kind of look at it like that. Like, this is just the next league that is going to be added to the traditional sports, right? Like, baseball, basketball, football, all these, different sports that are out there. This is just going to be kind of like added to that. It's going to have, each one has different structures as to how they work things, like a regular season, a playoffs, championship. But look, this is exciting. Guys, this could be the first league in which we really see what it's like for esports and traditional sports to like kind of merge, right? The Overwatch League was kind of, I think, a taste of it, and we might see more and more of that as we go, but I really hope that the Call of Duty League, because of how big the IP is, that this is the one that kind of merges the two worlds together. It'll be very interesting. I'm extremely excited that they added the pro tournaments, that they listen to the owners, listen to the community. Thank you so much, Activision, for doing that. I'm incredibly excited about the Call of Duty League. Where's the merch? All I want is merchandise from the Call of Duty League. The teams itself, that's really all exciting about the merch that they've got, but I want to see what the Call of Duty League itself, what Activision's cooking up for this merchandise. I'm really excited about that. But let me know what you guys think, guys, about the Call of Duty League. Do you think this is going to be a game changer for esports? Let me know what you guys think. So, guys, I've put more time into Gears 5 as of lately, and the game's been out now for a number of months, right? And, something that I wanted to talk about with this game, I mean, you guys already can probably tell just by the poster that I have in the background that I'm a fan of Gears 5. And I'm a fan of, I mean, when we talk about the big three, in my eyes, it's Gears, Starcraft, Call of Duty, right? Those are my three, favorite games. Absolutely love them. And Gears of War is a franchise, out of all three of them, it's a franchise that I feel is just like, I made one of my episodes of the 8 Below show was pretty much all about Gears of War being one step away from greatness. And it's felt like that. But I really feel like Gears 5 is an unappreciated, masterpiece. When you look at everything from a standpoint of campaign, the multiplayer, and all the other side modes that you can play, like the escape mode and everything that the Coalition's doing to try to support the game. This is an unappreciated masterpiece in my eyes. And there's a number of reasons why I say that, but number one, we'll start with the campaign. The campaign, guys, is the most immersive of any of the campaigns ever made by, in Gears of War history. But it's also one of the best looking games I've ever played on Xbox, period. I mean, it is an absolutely incredibly visually stunning game to just look at, to look in the environments, to see, just everything around you, right? The colors are so rich. Sure, are there moments where it doesn't feel like a Gears of War game because it's not dark and grimy and such? There's plenty of moments like that, but there are some moments, of course, where it's brighter and such, but I think that kind of like taking that chance and just kind of seeing what it looks like when it's not always dark and dreary is really kind of a breath of fresh air, in my opinion. So the campaign itself, guys, the most immersive and just most visually stunning out of any of the Gears of War games. One of the most visually stunning Xbox One games I've ever played. So that's kind of like the first thing. Even though the campaign may not be the best campaign out of any of them, I think that with the graphics, the voice acting, and just how it's a semi-open world setting makes it it kind of gives you so much more replayability than the other Gears games did within the campaign mode. Then we get to the multiplayer. And the multiplayer, guys, is, it kind of picks up right where Gears 4 left off. Absolutely incredible multiplayer experience, even though it was shaky at first, right? The launch was shaky. This is all things that we all know, right? That it was a shaky launch. But at this point, after all these months, you can see what the Coalition is doing, right? And just adding things and kind of really just listening to the community, making a really well-polished, fun game to play. And that's exactly what Gears 5 is as far as the multiplayer goes. I think it's just as good as Gears of War 4's multiplayer, and it's incredibly fun to play. I just don't have a lot of complaints. I mean, sure, there's things here and there where, some guns might be OP and, things of that nature. But overall, it's a great experience. It's a lot of fun. And then, of course, you have like the escape mode. Sure, I would love to have, other game modes come out at some point or another, but the escape mode is another one that's just fresh. It's new and it's exciting. It's a fun game mode. But people just are absolutely I'm not going to say that they're, bashing this game, but there's so much of the Gears community just complaining about the things wrong with it and not just giving praise and credit where credit's due with the Coalition. And that's something that really bothers me. It's just an unappreciated masterpiece in my eyes. As far as when you look at all the other Gears of War games, this is a game that's unappreciated on almost every level, and it is a masterpiece in the Gears of War family, in my opinion. Like, they have made a very good game. Sure, there's things here and there that are going to bother people, right? Everyone has their own opinions, but the fact of the matter is that Gears 5 is just... it's a full package as well. You're getting a full package for this game. You're getting that campaign, that multiplayer, those co-op modes. Just everything that you're getting within Gears 5 is adding value to it. And for some reason, it just doesn't get the support that other games, some of these other games get. Not as many people watching streamers stream the game, not as many people watching content creators making content on YouTube. It's a really unfortunate thing, and I hope that we can, over time, guys, we can kind of change that narrative that it's a niche game, because I just don't really look at Gears as a niche community. I look at Gears as a thriving community that there's been some roadblocks along the way, but we as a community need to be, continuing to give our advice to the Coalition, but the Coalition is delivering on a lot of fronts. So I just think that we as a community need to be supporting our favorite creators, supporting our favorite streamers, to help, continue building the scene out. And I think that's something that we can definitely do. But what do you guys think? You guys think, just be honest with me here. Do you guys think that it's unappreciated at this point? Because I think that it's come a long way since launch. That's my opinion. It's an unappreciated masterpiece. What say you about that, guys? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.